Now that you know we can reverse that heavy, leaden feeling in your legs, you might be asking, why do my ankles seem to disappear by 4 p.m. every single day? If you're living here in Florida or anywhere with high humidity and heat, you are battling a phenomenon I call the cankle epidemic. It's not just you, and it's not just about eating too much salt. It is a perfect storm of environment and gravity. The Florida heat causes your blood vessels to expand. We call this vasodilation. Think of your veins getting wider, like a river overflowing its banks. When those vessels widen, fluid leaks out into the surrounding tissue. And because Florida is notoriously flat, meaning you rarely climb hills, gravity pulls that fluid straight down to your ankles, and it stays there. You see the evidence every night when you take off your socks. Those deep ring marks, that is fluid that has been trapped in your lower limbs for 12 hours. This heaviness isn't just uncomfortable, it's a sign of stagnation. Your body is struggling to push blood back up against gravity because the primary pump designed to do that job has gone dormant. We tend to blame our heart, but your heart pushes blood down. It relies on something else entirely to push it back up. But this swelling isn't just about the heat index or salty food. It's a warning sign that your body's most important anti-gravity engine has stalled. Now that you see the fluid pooling at your ankles, you might be asking, if my heart is pumping fine, why isn't it pulling that fluid back up? The answer lies in a hidden mechanism medical professionals call the peripheral heart, or the second heart. You see, your chest heart is strong enough to blast blood down to your toes, but it is too far away to suck it back up against gravity. That return trip relies entirely on movement. Specifically, it relies on the squeezing action of your calf muscles. Think of your deep leg veins like a tube of toothpaste. When your calf muscle contracts, like when you walk uphill or stand on your tiptoes, it physically squeezes the vein, shooting the blood upward toward your lungs. Inside these veins, you have tiny check valves. They are one-way doors. When you move, the blood pushes the doors open. When you relax, the doors snap shut to lock the blood in place so it doesn't slide back down to your ankle. But here is the failure point. Because we live on flat terrain, we stop fully flexing the ankle. We stop squeezing the tube. The muscle goes dormant. When the muscle doesn't squeeze, the blood sits stagnant. The pressure builds. Eventually, the fluid leaks out of the vein walls and into your skin. That is the swelling you see. That is the cankle. To restart this engine, we don't need a diuretic prescription or a compression sock. We need a specific movement that acts as a manual override for your circulation. Now that we know the second heart has stalled, you might be asking, I walk every day. Isn't that enough to pump the fluid back up? Unfortunately, the Florida shuffle walk doesn't fully activate the pump. To mechanically force those valves open, we need a full range of motion. We call this the full pump standing raise. First, safety. Find a sturdy kitchen counter or a high chair back. Hold on lightly, and if possible, do this without shoes. We want your toes to spread and grip the floor. Focus on the big muscle at the top of your calf, the gastrocnemius. When you rise up onto your toes, I want you to imagine you are wringing out a wet towel. Go all the way up, high as you can. Now, and this is the critical part, hold at the top for 2 full seconds. 1, 2. That pause at the top is the squeeze. That is the moment the pressure builds high enough to blast the stagnant fluid through the check valves and send it back to your chest. If you just bounce up and down quickly, you are using momentum, not muscle. The valves barely flutter. You need that deliberate squeeze to override gravity. Keep it smooth. Drive up, hold the squeeze, let the valves open, and lower down. Feel the burn building in the muscle belly? That heat is circulation returning. Perform 10 of these full pump raises.
With each repetition, you are manually draining the swamp at your ankles. By the 10th rep, your legs might feel slightly heavy, but 10 minutes later, they will feel lighter than they have in years. Now that we've got the blood flowing up, we need to address the rusty hinge that connects that power to the ground, your Achilles tendon. Now that we've flushed the fluid out with the pump, we need to fix the reason why you lost your stride in the first place, the stiffness in your springs. You might notice that instead of rolling through your step, you are planting your foot flat like a duck. This is the stiff ankle trap. It happens when the Achilles tendon loses its elasticity. Think of your Achilles tendon like this rubber band. When it's dry and stiff, stretching it feels dangerous, but when it's pliable, it stores energy. It acts like a spring that pushes you forward for free. To restore that spring, we don't focus on the way up, we focus on the way down. Scientists call this eccentric loading. It is the secret to bulletproofing your tendons against tears. Here is the protocol. Rise up normally on the count of 1, but on the way down, I want you to fight gravity. Lower your heels in slow motion for 4 full seconds. Up on 1, down, 2, 3, 4, touch. Do you feel that trembling control? That slow descent is physically reorganizing the collagen fibers in your tendon. You are turning a brittle twig into a flexible bow. This is how we cure that morning stiffness where the first few steps out of bed feel painful. You don't need weights. Gravity is the weight. By slowing it down, you are forcing the tendon to handle the load, making it thicker, stronger, and more resilient. Do just 5 of these slow drops immediately after your pumps. Within 2 weeks, you will notice something strange. You aren't just walking, you are bouncing. You have the pump for circulation and the elasticity for movement, but the science tells us this only works if you can trick your brain into doing it without exercising. Now that you have the tools to rebuild your second heart and your tendons, you might be asking, Doc, these moves are great, but how am I going to remember to do them every single day? The brutal truth is, willpower fails. If you try to find time to exercise, you won't. You need to steal the time. You need a protocol that requires 0 memory and 0 extra effort. We call this Protocol 3, the toothbrush trigger. It relies on a neurological shortcut called trigger stacking. You already have a deep, permanent highway in your brain for brushing your teeth. You never forget to do it. We are simply hitching a ride on that highway. We are hacking your habit loop. Here is the rule. You are not allowed to brush your teeth standing flat. As soon as the bristles hit your teeth, your heels go up. The brushing is the trigger. The calf raise is the automatic response. Dentists recommend brushing for 2 minutes. That gives you exactly 2 minutes of second heart pumping twice a day. That is 4 minutes of dedicated circulation therapy without adding a single second to your busy schedule. At first, you might wobble. You might splash a little toothpaste. That's okay. Lean your hip against the counter or hold the sink for stability. By the end of the week, you won't even think about it. Your legs will just pump automatically. You are automating your health, turning a chore into a rhythm. By anchoring this movement to your morning routine, you aren't just shaping your legs, you are fundamentally changing how your heart interacts with gravity for the rest of your life. Now that you've hacked your habits with the toothbrush trigger, you might be asking, is 2 minutes really enough to change how I feel for the other 23 hours of the day? The answer is in the lightness. When you consistently activate your second heart, that feeling of dragging concrete blocks around your ankles simply vanishes. The sock marks disappear. The pressure fades. You are essentially taking the workload off your chest heart. By pumping from the bottom up, you are giving your entire cardiovascular system a daily assist. You aren't just walking better, you are circulating better. Remember the 3 keys to the anti-gravity leg: the full pump to open the valves, the slow drop to restore the spring, and the toothbrush trigger to make it automatic. This allows you to say yes to life again. Yes to the long walk on the boardwalk. Yes to playing with the grandkids in the park. You reclaim your propulsion. So tonight, when you stand at the sink, don't just brush, rise, pump, and feel the difference. You are standing on the engine of your independence. Keep it running, because a lighter step leads to a lighter life. I'm rooting for you. I'll see you in the next episode.